More protests on the streets of Tunis. Hundreds of demonstrators gathered to vent their anger at the government. In a state of emergency, the Tunisian people are trying to go back to work. They say it's their duty. Outside this state bank, staff mull over the situation. They want democracy and are happy Ben Ali's gone. Mohammed says he also wants Tunisia up and running again.
It is important to get back to work, to reboost our economy, to get investors, especially foreign investors, aware that the situation is good, to create jobs.
Inside the bank, it's chaotic. Government officials are no longer in charge. Union men argue about what to do next. Their priority to stop Ben Ali and his family's money from getting out of the country and prevent the destruction of documents that show corruption. But figures from that era are still in power here. The Prime Minister, Mohamed Ghannouchi, desperately trying to keep his so-called unity government together, resigning from the former ruling party and announcing a promise of concessions to the opposition. Those concessions may not be enough. There are important opposition leaders who say they do not want to be in government with Ben Ali allies. The coming hours will be crucial if his caretaker government is to survive. One prominent Tunisian lawyer says it's important for all sides to work together.
Together we stand, divided we fall. We cannot continue this path of democracy if we exclude someone.
This is a country that is trying to move forward, but there's high unemployment and the economy is fragile. As long as this political instability continues, it's going to be a difficult journey. Nazanin Mashiri.
A lot of shit comes up that people would want to vote on, like the bailouts, the war, all things of this nature. There's a lot of things that people would like that's going to affect us. We would like to vote on this, but you don't get to vote on it. You get to vote on a representative. These people are going to represent you once they get into office. And think about some of the laws that are in place to protect corporations. Think about some of the laws that are in place that fuck people over every day. They wouldn't be there if people were voting for them. We all have this desire to have someone lead us. We all have this feeling where we need someone who's smarter and wiser, who represents us. You know, and when you're really fucking dumb, the problem is really dumb people, they get a say in everything too. And they're subject to a lot of tricks. They're subject to nationalism. They're subject to these kind of ridiculous rah, rah, rah America speeches that don't say jack shit. They say nothing. It's all just this cheerleading fucking event. And they're subject to it. They can't help it. They're dumb. They don't know they're being bullshitted. They grew up around dumb people. They go to work with dumb people. There's no one in their family that's interesting or asks any questions at all. And they just get sucked right into it, man. This society is so greedy, we're willing to go to war. We're willing to go places and send these big metal machines that kill people and fuck people up just so we can make more money. And the way our society is set up, I mean, I've heard it argued, and argued successfully, that our society runs on war. You know, it runs on the domination of the other parts of the world. And literally, that's the only way you can control a gigantic chunk of the globe. You have to keep everybody down, you know, and that's what our society is based on. We can't be fighting over each other because, you know, this guy's like 1 million people die in Iraq, and everybody goes, hey, as long as it doesn't happen over here. But it is, right. That is over here. It's just over here, over there. It's the same thing. It's the people you don't know that were born somewhere else who fucking got jacked. You get trapped in that whole idea of, you know, this is my team, these are my people, and, you know, someone fucking plays a country music song and throws up a flag, and I'm in. Fuck it. It feels good. Feels good to be in, right? Feels good to be, God bless America. Feels good. Singing around with a bunch of other people and you're all drinking. We're the fucking baddest motherfuckers on the planet. Woo! And that's how people get recruited. It's a clusterfuck, man. These poor fucking kids, man. Could you imagine being 18, 19, being talked into doing this shit for a bunch of bloodthirsty motherfuckers who just are trying to get whatever they're trying to get over there, whatever the fuck it is, whether it's lithium, you know, minerals in the mountains that they use to make cell phone, whether it's 90% plus of the world's opium supply, 90 fucking %. That is a multi-billion-dollar business. And if you think these fucking industrialist cocksuckers that are running the world are going to leave that money behind, you're fucking crazy. Dude, they've got United States Army troops guarding Poppy Field. There's fucking so much heroin there. I mean, it's incredible. The fucking brother of the president of Afghanistan, his brother was selling heroin and getting paid by the CIA. I mean, god damn it. Heroin is absolutely addictive, okay? People who try heroin get hooked. Heroin is everywhere, okay? So you need to sell it. Someone's selling it. Who's selling it? I don't know, but 90% of it comes from this one place where we have to be to save our freedom. You can't criticize it. Because if you criticize it, you're a shithead. You don't appreciate the troops and what they're doing for you. And that's not the case at all. I just don't like the idea of these fucking people leading us in any direction where you need to sacrifice your life. Well, I don't believe it. I don't believe them. When there's been so many fucking lies. I mean, the more you...
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Monday, January 24th, 2011, and I'm Darko. Welcome everyone to part 2 of this War on Terror, Liberty, Sovereignty news segment. You just saw those 2 videos, pretty good videos, one with Joe Rogan, the other an Al Jazeera news report basically covering the Tunisian basically restructuring of their government, and now they have a unity government. But guys, I have some awesome news for you, so I'm just going to get going here. Just really good articles. The first one here is, well, it's from the 18th, but this is how I roll. I just collect articles, and I don't have to talk about them that day, and it's still news to some people, and the way I do it is I like to take these type articles and kind of chunk them together into, or chunk them together with other articles that are similar or related. So, U.S. Supreme Court issues landmark decision, Constitution is void, and this is a PR Newswire. It says U.S. Supreme Court issued a landmark decision that serves to allow judges to void the Constitution in their courtrooms. The decision was issued on January 18th, 2011, and the court did not even explain the decision, and it says one-word decisions, denied. And it says, quote, there is no legal or factual basis whatsoever for the decisions of the lower courts in this matter. These rulings were issued for corrupt reasons. Many of the judges in the Northern District of Georgia and the 11th Circuit are corrupt and violate laws and rules as they've done in this case. The Supreme Court must recognize this petition as one of the most serious matters ever presented to this court. The key questions answered negatively by the U.S. Supreme Court was, quote, whether federal courts must be stopped from operating corruptly and ignoring all laws, rules, and facts. So you go in there and check that. The link will be posted. I'm going to keep moving. Domestic use of aerial drones by law enforcement likely to prompt privacy debate. And of course, there won't really be a debate. That's just me. You know, the Southern Poverty Law Center or the ACLU, they don't really represent you. They're basically like the NRA, okay? They're little groups that act as if they're anti-establishment, but they actually are funded by the establishment. So the only expectation of privacy that you can expect is no privacy, as long as there's a government. The suspect's house just west of the city sat on a hilltop, and you can check that out because it's a feature article, and I don't cover feature articles. Police sensing crime before it happens. And here's a nice cozy article that'll from the Chicago Sun-Times. That's going to make you feel nice and cozy and comfy. Well, they basically tell you that, well, there's a fusion center in Chicago. Said, and also that they actually have pre-crime. Says, sounds like a bit of a scene from Minority Report. Oh my God, maybe that's because they were trying to tell the stupid slaves that that's what was coming. The 2002 Tom Cruise movie that featured genetically altered humans with special powers to predict crime. In October, the Chicago Police Department's new crime forecasting unit was analyzing 911 calls for service and produced an intelligence report predicting a shooting would happen soon on a particular block on the south side. And it says 3 minutes later, it did, police officials say. And they got the police suspect, Jody Wise. And it says he wondered if the department would produce intelligence reports even quicker. Next time the officers might have an hour's notice before a shooting. And it says here that Wise is now consolidating the department's various intelligence gathering units under his direct command to improve the flow of information. These deployment operations centers, which gather intelligence, will move into his office from the Bureau of Investigative Services, the DOC. Sounds like something out of the Pentagon, right? Created in 2003, tracks human intelligence on gangs and holds a daily conference call with the department leaders to decide where to deploy roving teams of officers. Oh, the so-called 24-hour Fusion Center. See, these things didn't exist, guys. Remember that? Remember 2 years ago, 3 years ago? These things didn't even exist. They were all in our heads. Now they're talking about it openly about fusion centers, which opened in 2007, also will move under the superintendent's office. The fusion center is one of the dozens that opened across the country. Oh, look at that. So we're not freaking nuts, are we? In response to a 9/11 report that called for better sharing of federal, state, and local intelligence on fighting terrorism. So there you go. And so just if you don't understand what a fusion center is, basically it's this. The center is staffed with the representatives of the Chicago Police Department, of course, right? Your local fascists, then you got your federal fascists, your state fascists, and basically agencies. See? Agencies. Oh, okay. So they're FBI, NSA, CIA, DOD. God damn, dude. They have access to the city's video surveillance system, which is very in-depth. Like I said, I covered that before. I've only been downtown Chicago. I'm from there, and not downtown, but I'm from Southside Chicago. And basically, I went down in the past 6 months to Chicago downtown. Dude, they have cameras inside the little lights. The little post lights that are for decoration, like street lamps. They have cameras in those. They have these black boxes with 3 high-tech. Man, these things must be $20,000 just for these one little units of cameras, 3 different types of cameras, infrared, I don't know, but they're on intersections, and along with all kinds of other different types of surveillance cameras. The whole city is under surveillance in Chicago. I'd get the hell out of there if I were you and you lived there. This next one up is active camouflage system uses E-Link to make tanks invisible on the battlefield. So basically all the news that I've been covering the past year or so, I've come to learn that, well, actually before that, when I was in the Marine Corps, we were already told that they had camouflage capabilities for their utility uniforms. Basically, your fatigues can actually be invisible. I just covered an article about submarines now having the ability to be invisible. You have drones and planes, which, yeah, you might be able to see them, but what the hell are you going to do if you're just a person on the ground, right? You're not going to do anything. But they are invisible to radar, and they do have stealth capability. Now you have tanks that are invisible. So next up here is we have liftoff, just massive 235-foot rocket carrying a secret spy satellite replacement blast off from California coast. It's a launch of a giant rocket, could be seen from 50 miles away. Analysis believe Delta IV will replace an imagery satellite that has been in orbit since 2000. Oh wow, look at this. There's a picture of that bad boy. Sure, there's all kinds of Illuminati type Freemason symbols splattered all over it. It says here, carrying cargo for the National Reconnaissance Office, the booster rose into the sky over California's central coast and arced over the Pacific Ocean, a spectacle visible from 50 miles away. So we're going to see who's going to be collecting this information. Oh, our buddies at the CIA. No cargo details were released, but the NRO operates satellites that provide information to the Central Intelligence Agency and the U.S. DOD. So there you go, folks. Spying on you, spying eyes everywhere up there in the sky. There's also a spy blimp. I believe it was down in Florida. But there's basically a blimp in one of the cities in the United States that just gone up. It's not a high-altitude airship like the Lockheed Martin one that I spoke about that would be up in the substratosphere. This is actually one that will just be floating about not too, basically very low altitude, and be spying on local citizens. So Terror Watch uses local eyes. Privacy advocates worry that officers snooping will entangle innocent people. Hundreds of police, firefighters, paramedics, and even utility workers have been trained and recently dispatched as terrorism liaison officers in Colorado and a handful of other states to hunt for, quote, suspicious activity and are reporting their findings into secret government databases. So this is from 2008 of June, and I just put this up there. We have this one, January 19th, 2011, garbage collectors as crime stoppers. It might seem like common sense, it says, and this gets covered up here. But it says most probably would, but some might mind their own business, which is part of the reason why the mammoth trash collection and environmental disposal company Waste Management came up with, quote, Waste Watch. It's a program that employs former FBI agents to train drivers and other employees to look out for anything out of the ordinary and gives them the tools to properly document and report possibly significant events. We're going to finish up with this article, DC expanding public surveillance camera net. Big Brother may already be watching you in the district, and soon he will have a lot more eyes trained in your direction. The city's Homeland Security Agency is planning to add thousands of security cameras from private businesses around the nation's capital and metro systems to the thousands of electronic eyes that authorities are already monitoring 24/7. Please join me in part 3. This is GGN, and I'm Darko. Thank you.